to kick off, would love an introduction to yourself and what you're up to today.
Okay, my name's Paul Naude. I was born and raised in South Africa. I've been in the, call it the California beach lifestyle industry for a long time. My career spans 5 decades. I've always been involved in it. I consider myself extremely fortunate to have been able to make a good living out of a lifestyle that is basically central to who I am. So I started out in the industry in the early 70s in Durban, South Africa, as a surfboard builder, and got involved in the apparel industry in 1981, and have been involved on the apparel side as well as on, did the whole gambit: competitive surfing, administrative functions in surfing. I was involved in the media for a while. I started a magazine in 1976, which I sold in 1988, but which is still going today. Probably one of my proudest business achievements. That a print media publication that I started over 40 years ago is still going. And but mainly focused around the surf industry. Moved to California in 1992. Thought I was only going to be here for 3 years, but 31 years later, I'm still here.
Wow, that's a great background, great introduction. And where does Vissla play into all of this today? Is that
we took on a lot. It was an interesting period. The world had changed significantly. So we kind of started a brand in really a new era where everything was digital media, digital marketing, and it was quite refreshing. And really, we've done very, very little since then in any sort of print media, and really, sort of a modern surf company that's based around digital marketing platform, content creation, etc. So we delivered, we went to market in April of 2014. I launched globally all at the same time. So I set up subsidiaries in Europe and Australia, and had a few distributors going in other areas as well. And the reason I launched globally was because of the power of digital marketing, the power of eyeballs. And we launched globally, not so much to chase sales, but more to grow brand equity as quickly as possible.
On the topic of doing things a little bit differently, at the time, who was the one that was driving this? Who was the one that was seeing these trends and bringing the team along?
I think it was collective. Myself, our head of design, our head of marketing, were kind of the driving force. We have these sort of think tanks and bounce things around, and pretty open. I'm not a big believer in hierarchy, but I am a believer in structure. I'll take a good idea from a guy in the warehouse, to be honest.
Yeah. And when you guys tried something, what was the process for trialing it, seeing the results, experimenting? What was the business set up to essentially do?
Well, you just got to, you just kind of, from a marketing point of view, particularly from a digital standpoint, that's one of the beauties of digital marketing. Is you can put it up and take it down. In the old days of print ads, when that thing was printed, you got another shot at it a month later. So very different, very exciting, much faster moving today. I mean, we'll do, my team will produce over 70 videos a year, anywhere from 20 seconds to a full feature film. And in terms of images, as you know, we'll use annually in post and in digital advertising, we'll use probably north of 1,500 images versus a dozen or so in the old days. So the new consumer has an insatiable appetite for newness. They want to see things, they're multitaskers, and you've got to keep them entertained. And I think that's a big difference to what was even 10 years ago. The shift in 10 years has been significant. Another thing that's really important about this new market, and we really are in a new market now, is that you can speak directly to the consumer. We speak to the consumer every second of every day. And it's a beautiful thing. At the same time, you got to give them what they want, because they buy into your brand and they're loyal to your brand, and you've got to deliver. But the fact that you're going direct to consumer today is a big plus. It's a big benefit for brand building. You can test things, you can talk to the consumer, you can get feedback from the consumer instantly.
From your perspective, because I mean, things like TikTok is user generated in the sense of it's not coming from the brands, it's coming from the users, the customers. When you think about advocacy for Vissla, I always think about it in kind of action sports industry is always fascinating. In fact, I remember being on a beach in South Africa and a guy comes up and he's giving out Vissla stickers, right? Everyone's stoked because they're getting a Vissla sticker and they're going to put it in a board or their roof box or whatever, right? Back of their car. That sort of advocacy, like how much is that powering your growth versus a buy with Meta or whoever it is? Like when you could,
it's way more grassroots. Listen, everything's about authenticity, Paul. So you can't just, that's why I say for us, we look at TikTok and we kind of, we sort of playing around a little bit, but we're not going to change who we are to appeal to a broader TikTok customer. The reverse will happen. We'll be who we are, and whichever TikTok viewers like what we do, so be it. I'm not saying that's a be all and end all. I just use that as an example, as a new platform. And there will be other platforms, but everything that we do, we sort of base around authenticity, keeping it real, not overdoing it, not in your face. I'm a big believer in assisted discovery. I always have been. I think that the best form of marketing is assisted discovery.
How does that work in terms of when you're thinking about it, beginning of the year, putting together a strategy? Like, how do you nudge people in that direction? How do you get your team around?
You'll make sure that we have a balance between, let's just say, what we call, commercial content, which for us, for the average guy, that's pretty cool. But for us, we say, hey, that's commercial. So we'll have a balance between commercial content and what I call underground content. So in terms of underground content, we're not trying to, we just want it to we want to seed it and see who finds it. And effectively, those sort of more low-key, underground, a little bit sort of alternate in our space activities, people like. It's like, who ever thought that a surf brand would be sponsoring a guy who's a regenerative farmer?
Yeah, that makes total sense. And like, what percentage do you reckon of your customers are there because of someone they loved or someone they respected, or their friend said Vissla is the brand you should wear?
I think people buy into the brand. I mean, a lot of it is peer group driven. Somebody say, hey, that thing's cool with you. And then they learn about the brand, they go online. I mean, again, we're back to digital sort of platforms. You look at how you can educate a customer that quickly with, content on your website. And, somebody sees the brand, sees a guy at a coffee shop, hey, that's a cool t-shirt. He goes, does he? We see it. We see people do this. Go like this. Hey. And then they find out about the brand. Look, I'll tell you one thing, Paul. You touched on it a minute ago. I've always believed in surf your own peak. We have this saying in surfing. We compete for market share by focusing on the consumer and his needs and wants. We don't compete for market share by targeting a competitor. And that's a massive difference.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you don't surf your own peak, the chances of you being run over out there are good. You surf your own peak and you focus on that, your chances of winning market share the right way, what I call the right way, is far greater. And there's too many brands out there that are knocking people off or looking over their shoulder the whole time. We don't look over our shoulder. We look ahead.
I love that, because
I'd say one last thing is this, is that you can't buy your way to success with ads for brands online. Because if you could, everybody would be doing it, right? If it was that easy, it's just not that easy. So the content, the ad, everything about it has to be good. It's the permutation that's critical. And the last thing, which is super important, is that the battle is won by understanding the intangibles. You have to understand the intangibles of what drives your consumer. You know, I've often said that market forces drive change. Industry doesn't drive change. Industry can influence change, but market forces ultimately drive change. And understanding the intangibles of your market is the key to building a successful brand.
Such as, do you have an example of that?
Well, you know, for example, in our industry, people understand if it's cool or not cool. That is an intangible understanding. So your authentic consumer that buys into your brand, they understand, yeah, they endorse the fact that what you're doing is cool and you understand the intangibles. The minute you look like you don't, they're gone. And market forces in a specific space, particularly always, you know, the top end of the pyramid, you know, those guys, the peer group leaders, those consumers are technically setting the trends. Those consumers are the market forces that are driving change. You need to understand the intangibles that are making those guys stoked.
And do you think that, how much do you think social media has changed that? Because some of those people will be living in a van and haven't touched, they don't even have a phone, right? But they're cool, right? Some of them will have an Instagram account and they'll have followers. Like, do you think that has changed the market, the way that a brand grows in it, since that intangible coolness, which is what makes a brand, has that shifted, do you think, in the past 10 years or so?
I think it has. I think in a way technology has helped, but in a way you've got to be really careful that you don't just rely on technology, because these kids can see right through it. Peer group leaders can, you know, they understand authenticity. They understand if you understand the intangibles or not. And that, you know, you can use technology to help accelerate that, but at the end of the day, it's an innate feeling that you need to understand. That's what brand builders do. That's who they are.